Hey there, welcome back to the channel. My name is Carrie with Blue City Pickin. And if you're new here, I'm a part-time reseller, goes around to garage sales, estate sales, thrift stores, and finds things to hopefully flip for a profit on eBay and only eBay. If you like reseller content, I put out 3 different videos a week, usually a combination of hauls and what solds because that's what works for me. I've already recorded this video. I don't know where it went. It got deleted somehow. And so here I am giving you the what sold, the cha-ching, number 80. This is what sold November 9th and 10th. Great couple of days, 21 items out the door. So 10-ish items per day, which is amazing. Coming in strong, but they were basically all bread and butter, which is okay. Like, I don't have a ton of high dollar items listed in my store right now, so I'm not expecting much more than bread and butter on a lot of items. I did go to Goodwill today and found some really nice higher dollar items, so I'm excited to get those listed and maybe make better than bread and butter on a few things. All right. Let's see, I had $493.04 in gross sales. That includes taxes and shipping. I agreed upon $344.82 with the buyer for them to purchase from. I had $76.93 into these, and I made a profit of $185.21 or $882 per item. I had something that sold within a day of listing it and something that took 540 days to sell. Isn't that nice? Average of 181 days, which is really high for me, but I'm happy to see a lot of this older stuff move out because some of it I have had for a really long time. Like, let's say the first item that I sold, which is a vintage handmade patchwork quilted eyelet ruffled edge Christmas tree skirt. I have had this listed for 383 days. It did not sell last holiday season. She was gorge. I did pay $10 for her at an estate sale though last October of 2024. So when I got an offer of $16, I said yes please, and I accepted it and made $1.74. But I also recouped my $10, so we'll take that as a W. And we're moving on. Not picking up tree skirts much anymore. I've sold, I think, 3 or so this year, and none of them have been bangers. They've all been kind of meh. So I've pretty much quit picking them up. Next up is a Sarah Coventry letter J gold tone bamboo brooch. I had nothing into this because it was in a large lot that I picked up in June of 2024. I think y'all might have heard the offer come in on my last what sold, and I said I'm probably going to take that even though the offer was $4 because I've had it for 494 days. So I accepted it and I made $2.77. Next up is that long tail item. This is a vintage 1970s AC GM Delco Auto Car Company solid brass buckle on a 38-inch belt. I paid $643 for this at an estate sale back in May of 2024. So I've had this beauty for 540 days. Not sure why that took so long to sell. I had $643 average cost of goods at that estate sale. It sold for $15, and so I made $494 back into my pocket. Next up is a vintage lot of 3 knitted mittens, gloves, small with the string so that you could put them on and push them through the jacket and the kid can take them off and the gloves will just hang from the string. I had a whopping quarter into these from an auction back in September. They sold for $9, and so I made $545 after 49 days. Next item is my first bins item on this list, and this was from my first trip to the bins ever. So fun. This was a Greenhouse by Russ 12-inch plush stuffed succulent plant toy flowering cactus. I had $1 cost of goods that day back in March. It sold for $8.96, and so I made $609 after 233 days. Next item is I bought a big lot of dolls, and some of the dolls were like meh, so I took their clothes off and I'm selling their clothes. So this is an antique vintage elegant doll dress, blue with lace and hat and bloomers and socks. $2 cost of goods into this from an auction in August. Sold for $12, so I made $6.17 after 5 days. Next is another item from that same auction, but this was a large like stuffed animal and toy lot. This was a 1994 Mattel Dreamland baby doll, blonde hair, brown eyes, and her name was Rachel. She looked a little creepy, but when I looked her up, it looked like she sold, so $2 cost of goods. She also sold for $12, made $6.70 in just 2 days. Next item is something that I have quit picking up. This is the brand Echo, or I am comping every single thing to see. This was a pair of women's leather navy blue sneakers. I did pay $14.26 for these at a local thrift store back in February. They finally sold for $24.95, and so I made $6.87 after 263 days. But I got my $14.26 back, so I'm okay with that, and they're gone. Next item is a recent pickup. This was a Kavu hot pink rope sling bag, canvas, small purse, adjustable strap. I did pay $6.08 for this at the Goodwill on Halloween. It sold for $19 and I made $7.59 just 3 days after it was listed. Next is the other item that I'd say that I paid up for. This was a pair of Gia canvas casual shoes, sneakers, women's size 8.5, gray, a lace up. $10.34 into these from a regular Goodwill back in February. They sold for $24.90, and so I made $8.05 after 279 days. I don't know how I feel about Fry. How do y'all feel about Fry? Is it losing its luster? Let me know what you think. All right, next up is a book. I do not sell a lot of books, but in an auction recently, I bought a bookshelf that had some interesting books on it that looked like they would sell pretty well. And this was one of them. This is Miracles from the Vault, Anthology of Underground Cures by Jenny Thompson. It was a paperback. I had $1 into this from an auction just last week. It sold for $14, and so I made $8.38 after just 2 days. Another Christmas tree skirt, y'all. Told you I sold a couple. I forgot that I sold 2 in these 2 days. This is a large, round, quilted Christmas tree skirt, Toys Bears train. Merry Christmas. I had $3 into this from an estate sale last August. It sold for $16, and so I made $8.40 after 442 days. Another one that did not sell last holiday season, so when I got the offer for $16, I said goodbye. Next up is a lot of 3 Harry Potter collectible die-cast mini wands. I think there were 2 Dumbledore and 1 Voldemort. Nothing into these because they came from a home clean out where I was downsizing some of my collectibles. They sold for $12.60, so I made $9.13 after 51 days. Next was my fastest sale of this 2-day period. This was an XCVI linen blend Bailey white zip jacket, size extra large, resort beach coastal 3/4 sleeve. See all those keywords? Nailed it. I paid $6.08 for this at a regular Goodwill on Halloween. I got an offer for $20, and because of the season that we're going into, and I just was excited that I got something so fast and trying to keep the sales rolling, I took it. And so I made $9.59 after just a day. Next up is a set of vintage 1946 McCoy art pottery. This was a creamer and a sugar. It was pine cone, green, painted, antique-y looking. I had $6 into this from an estate sale back in August, the same one where I got the baby dolls and the doll dress. Let's see, it sold for $21.60, so I made $10.27 after 70 days. Next is a lot of two Laura Ashley Vintage Emily Rose Blue Floral Standard Pillow Shams. I had, let's see, $4.39 into this from a local thrift store back in back in February of 2025. Let's see. They sold for $21.24, and so I made $10.93 after 272 days. I was expecting those to sell more based on research, but they didn't. I have also slowed way down on linens. Yeah. I am just being a little bit more picky unless I'm at the bins. Like, I'm not going to pay up for something unless I feel like it's going to go fast. Next is a Nike Club Pullover Men's Extra Extra Large Hoodie, white, black, classic swoosh. Nothing into this, from a friend who gave me it. My oldest daughter actually took it for a while and then decided that she didn't want to keep it, and it was still in immaculate condition somehow. I have no idea how it survived one of my child's without stains. I had an offer for $13.67, which I accepted, and so I made $11 after 133 days. Next item is one that I actually picked up when we were down in Florida at the Red, White, and Blue because it was a steal of a deal, knowing that I was going to be sitting on it for a while. This was a new Lands' End Kids Navy down-filled puffer vest, size medium. It was tie-dye. New tags, y'all. $1.60 at the Red, White, and Blue back in May. It sold for $15, and so I made $11.27 after 148 days. I had contemplating pulling this and taking it to Once Upon a Child, but I have had the worst experience at Once Upon a Child the last few times, so much so that I'm at the point where I don't know if I'll go back. We'll see. We'll see. Next item is a vintage OEM, so that's original manufacturer, Atari black replacement cartridge slot connector. Had 50 cents into this from a Whatnot auction in December of 2024. It sold for $14.90, so I made $12.36 after 334 days. Next is also a fairly recent pickup. This is a set of 12 embroidered beaded fabric star tree ornaments. They were vintage. Snagged these at an estate sale back at the end of September. Had $2 cost of goods per item that day. They sold for $20, and so I made $14.58 after 31 days. And last but not least, my only non-bread and butter item. This is a Stitch Phantom Manor Haunted Mansion Disneyland Paris pin from October of 2022. Nothing into this because it came from a clean out of my oldest daughter's room. It sold for $30, and so we made $22.94 after 75 days. Where did my profits come from this 2-day period? They were a bit more all over the place because it was more bread and butter. So I had 23% from home clean out, 22 from estate sales, 17 from Goodwill, 16 from auctions, 16 from other, and that's mostly local thrift stores, and 7% from Whatnot. 36% of my profit came from clothing, shoes, and accessories, and that is way down from the weekend before where it was like 75%. It's just very interesting as an everything seller to see what shifts around. And sometimes I notice it correlates with what I'm listing, and sometimes there's no correlation whatsoever. So 29% on household items, including kitchen and decor, 27% on collectibles, and then 7% on toys. Low on toys this week. Just a couple of things went out the door, but not a lot. Hopefully the toys will pick back up. I did have some good toy sales last week. So yeah, I am pretty pleased with my results. Having a nice Q4, but it's really just been a nice November. October was definitely a trudge where I was questioning my life choices And how did I get to this place? But genuinely, I think it was November 2nd, it started popping off. So we are now on, it is now November the 13th. And I think the last few days I've had another 5 to 10 sales per day. So happy with the results on those days as well. I genuinely hope that your sales are going swimmingly as well. Let me know, what's the best thing you've sold recently? Is yours mostly bread and butter, or have you had some nice high dollar items going out before the holiday? And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.